Sankar. I'm here to talk about a project that we have been working on over this year. Um, it's something to has to do with research. But before moving to that, uh, let me share a story with you. Last year, a researcher contacted us. They needed TB treatment data from 5 years of OpenMRS records from one of their implementations, and it took them 4 months and five people just to extract and clean the data. By the time they finished, the funding window had already closed. So I know this is kind of a the implementers who joined this session, like there are like similar there. I think it's pretty. I'm pretty sure that you have gone through some similar situations as well. We know that OpenMRS stores millions of patient records across the globe on different implementations. And historically, OpenMRS is known as a write-only system. That means getting data into OpenMRS is easy and straightforward. But getting data out for research is difficult. I'm not talking about reporting, like you can get data for reporting, but for research purpose, it's extremely difficult and painful process. There's a reason for that. Because OpenMRS is built for patient care first, not for research. And uh, we wanted to make this not the case. Let's first talk about the OpenMRS data structure. We follow we follow a highly flexible data model called entity attribute value. We call it EAV data model. So basically, the patient is the entity and the observation is the attribute, and there are clinical measurements tied into that observation. And because it's flexible, you can store almost anything like lab result, vitals, diagnosis, forms, surveys, any custom workflow that you think of. And there are some downsides as well. So there's no fixed schema, and every implementation configured concepts differently. So in order to extract meaningful data, you must understand the concepts, the data model, the coding, and the workflows to extract some meaningful data out of this. So converting OpenMRS into spreadsheets or CSVs is a painful process as well as an error-prone process. So we we talked to implementers, we talked with researchers, conducted some surveys, interviews, and we observed uh, that researchers repeatedly struggle with extracting and cleaning data. And every OpenMRS implementation built their own custom pipelines to get this done. And there was no standard way to hand over data for research. And we saw this same pain repeated across countries and across organizations. And then we thought of, okay, how we can solve this problem. We went through different approaches, and one approach stood out, which is called OMOP Common Data Model. That is developed by Odyssey community, which is again another open source community which is focused on research purposes, health research stuff, and OMOP is the data model that they have built for the health. Basically, to represent the clinical data. They basically provides a standardized way to represent clinical data, and there's a rich ecosystem on top of that. Like there are tools like Achilles and Atlas, DQD Hades. Like there are a bunch of tools that helps researchers to do their research and um, make this data meaningful and extract some meaningful insights out of it. And there are like standard vocabularies involved, and with this analysis becomes reproducible and compatible. So using OMOP means that if you do the mapping once, that means anyone can run analysis on top of your data. So when it comes to mapping OpenMRS into OMOP, we have to think about two two aspects. That's the structural mapping and the semantic. Like structural is this is basically the structure of the OMOP common data model, and so we need to answer the question like how do we place OpenMRS data into these tables? Like each square represent a table. So as an example, the person of OpenMRS table goes to person, and then like observations, measurements, notes. Like we need to figure out how we map everything into this, and we already did. So and the second challenge was to do the semantic mapping. That means like how do we translate the meaning of data in OpenMRS? Data is tagged with concepts, right? So each concept represents a clinical meaning. So to be useful in OMOP tools, every concept must map to a standard vocabulary um, like snowman or like whatever the standard vocabulary they support. So so this ensures that their tools like Achilles understands it, that tools like Atlas can run cohorts, DQD can run data quality checks. So without this semantic mapping part, these tools cannot interpret the data correctly. So to by solving these two problems, we introduced this OpenMRS to OMOP ETL. So we built a custom ETL that works with any OpenMRS implementation. So the core idea is like we build the engine, you bring the fuel, that means your mappings. So how it works is basically you have to configure, that means like you map your OpenMRS concepts into OMOP standard concepts, and then you execute the pipeline, and you can use Odyssey tools like DUD, Atlas, or whatever the tools immediately on top of that. So the impact is so it reduced from months of custom works to days of configuration, and from custom scripts reducing to standardized pipeline, and from isolated sites it connects to the global Odyssey community. So this is, let me show, this is the code base, basically the project that we have done. And everyone is welcome to go through this, and you can like set this up, and you can run like every implementer, and researchers can just like simply plug in their own implementation. This is basically the engine. You can like do your own configuration on top of this, and we have documented every step here. And there's a bigger document on wiki as well. And so why this matters is that implementers don't need to build ETLs from scratch. Like we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So you can avoid manual spreadsheets or the custom formats. You can use the standardized format. And so researchers also can get this standardized data faster, and also the health ministries can get support for large scale analysis because this is very straightforward. And also, this lowers the barriers to join the Odyssey community, the research community, and there are like a bunch of researchers gathered around that vibrant community, so the both communities can work together, and this promotes the global research collaboration. So, and feel free to go through this project and like try to set it up. If you have any questions, please reach out to me or Ian or Anthony. We have been working so hard on this for past couple of months, and go through our documentation. Uh, if you have any questions, please reach to us. So our goal is our goal is simple. It's basically if someone needs data for research tomorrow, they should get it without pain or complexity. That's our goal. So thank you very much. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Maybe I'll just make one comment with because the work that Jaya did and the team did with the Odyssey community in developing this pipeline was truly remarkable and saved a huge amount of work for people who are trying to start from scratch to do this. So thank you for their leadership and for the just the amount of work that was done and the attention to detail that is part of the GitHub repository. I made some comments in the chat about the use of terminology and how CL combined with OpenMRS it makes that ETL process better. Um, I would say that one of the key use cases that is driving this right now, if folks hadn't heard, for our community in particular, is the new Lena for PrEP opportunity where lenacapavir being used to prevent HIV is a sort of a revolutionary new therapy, and that therapy requires folks countries who wish to get access, inexpensively from the Global Fund for this drug need to have monitoring and evaluation systems in place. In many of those countries, OpenMRS is the monitoring and evaluation system. And so the Gilead and the Lena for PrEP system is looking at OMOP as the way to do this cross-country federated research around HIV prevention. And so having countries with OpenMRS be able to convert their data to this OMOP terminology, OMOP platform will make it faster and easier for their patients in those countries to get access to this life-saving drug. So really hope that folks will, take this on. And if you're part of OpenMRS implementations in HIV high prevalence areas, working with PrEP, we really would like to talk to you about getting your